Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
Adam. Hey, you're live on Twitch, and it's going to save the recording this time, and I'm saving it on my PC. So this is maybe our last chance to talk to you if your civil liberties are taken away by exercising your right to a trial by jury where you can expose your accuser in the Ordo Templi Orientis Epstein Island cult that has the most holy book talks about child blood consumption, that an American judge says this book about child blood consumption must be given to inmates in Mayberry versus McCune. Adam, the floor's yours. I suggest you start with introducing everyone to Howard Seth Leventhal like they know nothing, and your cellmate and your judge and everything that's going on. The floor's yours.
I also have an update on that as well. Hi, my name's Adam Alistair Woodward-Smith. I've been a detainee at Coconino County Detention Facility for the past 2.5 years without trial. I'm presently being locked up with an individual by the name of Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel. Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel is accused of assaulting an individual by the name of Howard Seth Leventhal. Howard Seth Leventhal is a convicted child rapist who has been previously pleaded guilty to ejaculating in the vagina of a 13-year-old white girl in 2009 and was given no prison time for doing so. And he is a member of Big Brothers Big Sisters, which votes for most of the judges to get into positions of power here in Coconino County. On Monday, without warning, Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel went to a video link hearing to contest the order of protection against Howard Leventhal, and um, the judge, Crombin, decided to scrunch up his affidavit and letter and said, I'm not going to consider anything in this sworn, notarized instrument of truth in commerce and in court, stating that he didn't assault Howard Seth Leventhal, that the police provided no reasonable articulable suspicion or a single articulable fact, that they fired 3 tasers, 2 of which discharged into his body, and only 1 taser was handed in, inflicting great pain and suffering upon Mr. Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel. He's also, like me, been put onto what's called Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 11, psychiatric evaluation, which is very detrimental to people's rights. It means that we have to assume that you're not competent to stand trial, and therefore you're not allowed to represent yourself or say anything or present evidence, and we can forcibly medicate you against your will just because we think that you might be crazy, or more specifically because you're saying things that
Can I
the
can I say
power
some
that this
things in
be.
your defence quickly? First of all, you were found sane and competent for trial by one psychologist and one shrink in the case previously. That you can confirm
Correct.
from the apps.az courts.gov/public access website if you type Adam Smith and choose Coconino County Superior Court. You can't search by your name and date of birth anymore because they changed your date of birth uh, to what's it, 1750 something, I don't know. So yeah, so that happened, and one of the psychologists in the June 24th hearing said she had a conflict of interest, and we know what it is. She's probably in the Ordo Templi Orientis cult because she's in Sedona, and that's where one of the cult leaders, Israel Regardie, went to die. And when and only Ordo Templi Orientis was mentioned in your discussions with her, she changed the name of the Ordo Templi Orientis to protect the child abuse cult to double quote Knights of Templar, and I have that report. So she admitted a conflict of interest, and because Joshua Steinlage is refusing to comply with a records request for the June 24th hearing from myself and a private investigator, he is saying he who controls the past controls the future, like Stalin. Fuck the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. We have secret trials, and we can resurrect Deborah Pardee, even though she has no right to judge you. Also, talk about how you hired your own psychologist who found you sane and how they buried the report, which is illegal under Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 11.4 brackets 2.
I'd like to talk to that in a minute, but I'd like to give you an update in Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel's case first, if I may.
Go for it.
Okay, so Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel has just come back from court a second time. On the first time, the Judge Crombin scrunched up his affidavit of truth, which said that Howard Seth Leventhal was banned from conducting business in the state of Washington for slumlording. Francis is a victim of his slumlording, being advertised a cabin in the woods that was an unfurnished shed with no Wi-Fi, electricity, plumbing, toilet, heating or cooling of any kind whatsoever, and being totally ripped off and laughing at him, saying he spent his money and can't refund him at all. and the fact that he was caught drink driving while a level two sex offender in Yavapai County with children in the car that he shouldn't have been in the car with, and was only given 10 days in jail. And it was his second time that he was caught drink driving with kids in the car. And Howard Seth Leventhal has falsely claimed. Big And Big Brothers Big Sisters are also involved with handling people's children who have been removed from their parental custody. And there is a video that I'd like to share of individuals from the Department of Child Safety that take children away from their parents and hand them to Big Brothers Big Sisters. And they gloat and wear uniforms that say child abductor on the back of them. And that's https:// www.bitshoot.com/video/ little Mike, little Tango, little Mike, big Quebec, little Delta, little 4, little Mike, little Hotel, little X-ray, little India, 3, little Tango. And that's DCS people wearing child abductor
Yes,
uniforms.
that's the interview
Um,
I did with Jim Fetzer about your case, and a caller called up and shared that, and we checked the story and showed the pictures of it on the live stream. Yes.
yes. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about
Can
how
you talk
to
about
about.
2 points I want to make? Joshua,
Uh,
the whole proceedings against you tomorrow are illegal.
Sorry, wait. I need to speak. I need to
Okay,
speak about
talk about the
Francis.
Court of Appeals
Francis.
and how they
No,
can't stop
wait,
it. Okay.
Francis. I need to speak more about Francis because Francis has just come back from court a second time. Now, like I said before, the affidavit and the letter that Francis had written had been scrunched up and thrown into the trash by Crombin. But today, Francis went again before Crombin, and Howard Seth Leventhal was present this time. Previously, Howard Seth Leventhal was not present on Monday, and the judge decided not to issue a bench warrant for his arrest for failure to appear, but decided to go and reschedule today. And Francis has just come back again for today, and has said that Howard Seth Leventhal has lied and said that he's punched him with his left hand with his right side of his face. And now he's saying he's punched him with his right hand, and said that Francis was wearing overalls, and in actual fact he was wearing green trousers, green pants. He's also said that um, he hasn't seen the video of the police saying that there's no evidence of him assaulting him and no probable cause, and then trying to frame up Francis with a Burrito Man video of a different suspect from a different time off a different Axiom body camera and say that that's him in order to rule 11 psychiatrically evaluate him. How Seth Leventhal made many, many statements that were perdurative, and I would really like it if you could go and get from Williams Justice Court the CD recording of today's hearing from October the 22nd, 2025, between Leventhal and Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel, because Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel has, I think, told the truth, and I think How Seth Leventhal has not told the truth, and there's very clear evidence of perjury. And yes, How Seth Leventhal is involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters while a sex offender, while voting for judges to get into office, and also Judge Crombin again decided to uphold the order of protection to protect the Jewish paedophile from any harassment by Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel, who didn't assault him and didn't even want to look at the affidavit swearing under a penalty of perjury that he didn't assault him and that there were no bruises on his body or of any kind whatsoever. Um, that this is a complete farce, and it seems to me that the police are doing police brutality and excessive force against against Francis Cruz Mendoza Keel simply for the crime of not loving Jewish child sex, essentially. So I'm done with Francis, and I'd now like to talk about my own case, if I
On the
may.
topic of Mendoza Keel and Howard Seth Leventhal, yeah, he tore up an affidavit that had provided proof the county is writing checks to someone
That is correct.
who's a child pimp who started a corporation, an LLC, which he denies on his phone call with me, with an unindicted co-accused who died before trial. So Donald Leacock got 30 years. He's the pimp up the food chain who should get more. and he got nothing. And he's in the phone call, he's claiming he's friends with the prosecutor, and he claims the prosecutor made a non-prosecution agreement where the prosecutor promised him to remove him from the sex offender registry once he's done some probation training on how not to rape kids. Here's the thing: a prosecutor can't make that promise because under ARS, um, only a psychologist can remove someone from the sex offender registry and then approval from a judge. The docket for his case from 2008 in Coconino County has no such orders to remove it. So Coconino County Sheriff said, fuck the law. We love Howard Seth Leventhal fucking kids. We're going to remove him from the sex offender registry without due process. And I've called up the people at the Arizona Department of Safety who run the sex offender registry, and I've got them to admit that the name can only be removed with a court order. And they know Coconino County Sheriff is corrupt. This is high-level protected pedophilia like Epstein. Okay,
Yes,
and everyone who knows about it is going to be raped by Neil. Now, so
that's correct.
the farce against you are so competent to defend yourself. You found Arizona Court of Appeals case law where another guy accused the judge of being a Mason. You only asked the question, and that was ruled not great. So the whole proceeding, the new Rule 11 proceedings, are based on a legal farce, and the judge prosecuting you should be terminated for allowing you to be withheld for 10 days without charge in 2022.
5 days.
five
5 days.
5 days for 5 days from the time you should have been released. You should have been released 24 hours, 48 hours after charges weren't filed. You were kept until the 20th, right? And you were incarcerated on the
Correct.
15th. So it's 5 days, 3 days too many. And a judge that did a similar thing that was also in your case earlier, Kathleen Brown Nichols, was terminated from her job for doing the same thing to a convicted pedophile, Leo Andrew Martinez, who also had his name mysteriously removed from the sex offender registry without a hearing. This is Coconino County involved in the cover up, and you guys named him as a protected pedophile to the Supreme Court early on in M 2025 00092, and the clerk is still refusing to fucking release it. So I can't email the court because the Jews have blocked my email address from courts at AZ. I tried to email them today. They blocked all my emails. I've asked Chris Brooks to forward my request on to the judge, and I'm going to lodge a CJC complaint from a new email address. And the CJC wrote back to me today and said I complained against Joshua Steinlage when I didn't. I only complained against the Court of Appeals for ruling against you while citing a fake case number that's not associated with your case, showing they didn't even do their job of looking up your docket. And there's no response on that for 2 months. They've changed. They've said that the filing against the Court of Appeals never existed and changed it to Joshua Steinlage enacted corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. Now, you were talking before about your complaint against Christopher Linsky that wasn't recorded. So tell us your story.
Like to start off a little bit with the law that actually says that the invocation of Rule 11 in my instance case is not valid. So the law is State v. Henderson, 2012, Aris App, Unpub, Lexis 797. And in this case, a man asked a judge whether or not he was Freemason or Illuminati, and he was found competent. I simply asked the question whether or not Joshua Steinlage was a member of the Freemasons, and I pointed out that this case connected the Freemasons to the Ordo Templi Orientis. My accuser, Rachel Ann Boliski, date of birth 31st of March 1982, is a self-admitted member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, and she admits that here at 32 minutes 37 seconds in an order of protection hearing. And the link for that is https://youtu.be/capital hotel, little x, little echo, big Romeo, little uniform, 8, Big Charlie, Big Kilo, Big Bravo, number 5, Little Charlie. And that's the order of protection hearing from the 19th of August, where Rachel Boliski, at 32 minutes, 37 seconds, admits that she is a member of the Ordo Templi Orientis. And she's been treated as a victim, even though she has admitted that she organises child sex parties in the form of Gnostic Catholic Mass for the Ordo Templi Orientis. And the link for that is archive.is/Little Oscar, Big Golf, Little Whiskey, number 3, Little Charlie. Now, I was put under Rule 11 for the second time. I've previously been found competent to stand trial by the same two psychiatric evaluators, Dr. Deborah Pardy and Dr. Chris Linsky from the Guidance Center in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I've got proof of that, which is archive.is forward slash is it competent? There we go. Capital Bravo, little X-ray, big Juliet, big Alpha, little Tango. And there's proof that both Linsky and Pardy had previously found me competent to proceed. But there clearly is something very nefarious going on in my case now, that since I decided to blow the whistle on Rachel Bilisky being, organising child sex parties for the Order Templi Orientis, as well as murdering patients in hospital at North Area Health Services, 3700 West State Route, Route 89A, Sedona, Arizona 86336, without even a valid medical license, and the evidence of her not having a valid medical license is being scrubbed from the internet in a cover-up. But I do have another backup link, which is archive.is forward slash little tango 8, big Quebec, little Oscar, little number 2, which proves that Rachel Bilisky didn't have a valid medical license. And she's testified to the police when I was first arrested, that she was working, not volunteering at North Area Health Services, and the police decided to cover up her crimes against humanity and practicing medicine without a license by saying that she just volunteered there. And that's archive.is forward slash little Victor 55 Lima Echo, all lowercase. I was visited again at the jail on February the 6th, 2025, by Dr. Deborah Pardy, who cut an interview short and did a very unprofessional interview with me. And we filed a complaint against her with the Arizona Board of Psychological Examiners, and the jail have criminally blocked my correspondence between myself and the Board of Psychological Examiners. Dr. Chris Linsky has also found me not competent to stand trial for different reasons, and I've also made a separate complaint with him with a different board, which is the Arizona Medical Review Board, because Dr. Deborah Pardy is a PhD in psychology, whereas Dr. Christopher Linsky is an MD in psychiatry. So these are two different boards that deal with the two Rule 11 evaluators here. So I had to deal with two different boards. I'd like to read to you what the Arizona Medical Review Board has just said to me. It says, Dear Adam Alistair Woodward Smith, the board has received your complaint against a licensed medical doctor, physician assistant. We must inform you that we cannot process your complaint at this time because you have not provided us with documentation establishing that you have exhausted all internal Department of Corrections grievance procedures. ARS Section 31-241 requires you to exhaust all of these procedures and provide appropriate documentation to that effect before you may file a complaint with this board. See attached statute. If you complete all internal corrections department's grievance procedures and wish to pursue your complaint after completing that process, please refile your complaint along with a copy of the final department grievance response attached. If we receive both of those documents, the board will conduct an appropriate investigation and take appropriate action. When you have exhausted all internal Department of Corrections grievance procedures, you must also provide the physician's full names. Respectfully, Nicole Palacios, Intake Officer, Arizona Medical Review Board, Arizona Regulatory Board of Physician Assistants. Now, first and foremost, I'm not part of the Department of Corrections. I have pleaded not guilty. I have pleaded never guilty, even though I have been locked up for the past 2.5 years. I am a pre-trial detainee. I have the presumption of innocence. I am demanding a trial repeatedly, and I am being systematically and thoroughly denied a trial in order to protect the OTO child rape cult that Rachel Bilisky is an admitted member of. And other OTO members are turning up into the Zoom meeting at my hearings now, such as Rod Swift, who is a supporter of dogwomble.com, the joys of gay child anal sex. I would also like to point out that this is not the only governing board that is falsely claiming I'm part of the Department of Corrections. Coconina County Detention Facility is run solely by the political subdivision Coconina County and has nothing to do with the Department of Corrections other than sending them down the hill to El Hombra for processing after people have been found or pleaded guilty to some plea deal or whatever. So I don't have to go through the internal Department of Corrections grievance procedures when I'm not in the Department of Corrections, never have been, never will be, and I don't have any prior felonies on my record whatsoever. And this is not the only board that is doing this. You need to talk to the Department of Corrections before you can deal with us. The Arizona Nursing Board said the same thing about when I was complaining that Rachel Bilisky didn't have a valid medical license and was murdering people in a hospital and harvesting organs and making money out of it, $30 an hour to go and shove virus-laced nasal swabs that were given peer review status in
without
under
a medical
24 hours.
license, doing a Class 5 felony, and because she's done a
Yes.
Class 5 felony, Sedona Police says, good crime, we're going to pay you victims' compensation for loss of criminal income because crime does pay, and the lesbian police chief in Sedona is doing that. Who's having sex with Keegan Moorcroft, according to the divorce records with her husband, seducing a married woman for lesbian sex, and talk about Jesus Evangelista and the body cams, and there's a motive for trying to get early disposition on your trial. If you go to trial, the cops will have to explain what happened to the camera interviews of Jesus Evangelista flirting with Rachel, evidence of a possible sex crime done by a cop.
I will in just a second, but I'd just like to just touch up a little bit on the fact that this is a vindictive as well as a selective prosecution, that, you know, crimes against humanity, mass murder, gene therapy, practicing medicine without a license, organising child sex parties, not a crime, but spanking Rachel Polisky's bottom during a consensual BDSM session, attempted murder and kidnapping.
Yes,
Now, the other board,
and
of
she's a
course, that I've gone
BDSM
to,
porn star to boot. And
yes,
she and
yes,
she and she goes to BDSM conferences, and her porn star
yes.
director says she's the most hardcore BDSM woman that I've ever seen. I've got the
I've got
tweet.
a link I've got a link I'd like to share with you. It's https:// Oscar Papa Echo November Lima Bravo Romeo Yankee Charlie Oscar Mike / capital Charlie capital Alpha capital Uniform capital Delta :5. And there is a copy of Rachel Polisky's gang rape, dark rape, BDSM porn movie Captive Audience that she starred in, where you can see that she is being gagged and choked, and they're doing all kinds of horrible things to her, and they're trying to insinuate that the things I've done to her are non-consensual acts of kidnapping and attempted murder, which is horseshit. Rachel clearly enjoys people doing this to her and clearly consents to this, and there can be no injury may be claimed from consenting parties. So I'd like you to go and have a look at this, and they've tried to delete this off the internet in order to frame me up, and we've managed to recover it and managed to upload it.
What's the link again?
Um,
What's the link? I'll open it
so
now.
I'd like you to have a look at that video if you can.
What's the
But I'd
first
also like to
part?
talk about there's another board that has falsely stated that I need to talk to the Department of Corrections, or because I'm part of the Department of Corrections, they can't help me. And that is the Arizona Citizen Ombudsman Aid. And they quoted ARS
Yeah,
41
that was
1377.
Danny Garcon. So three organisations led by a homosexual who since quit the organisation, hides behind an invalid statute, and then when the new
Correct.
staff member takes over, she says we support the non-investigation our other staff didn't do by hiding under invalid statute, and we won't don't look at anything you give. And I said, so I send them a new case of Coconino County saying that we have no certificate of occupancy for the jail you're in, and they say it's under Flagstaff jurisdiction, and Annie C., who's the records clerk, whose Indian brother is a convicted child rapist at Flagstaff, she says it's under Coconino County jurisdiction. Actually, she's right. So tell us about what you saw
Can I?
with
Can I?
William Henry Redding. Tell everyone about William Henry Redding and what they've done to him.
I'd like to finish a little bit more about the Ombudsman, if I may, first. That the Arizona Citizen Ombudsman's Aid is supposed to investigate records keeping departments such as Megan Turner, who's the records clerk of Sedona Police Department, and they're saying that I don't have rights under GRIM 115 and United States v. Loeffner and 5 USCS 552 to public records, especially when I have a greater right to those records as a criminal defendant in a capital crimes case. They are not willing to investigate Sedona Police Department for systematically deleting and destroying clearly exonerating and exculpatory body camera footage in violation of Brady v. Maryland. Jesus Evangelista was banging Rachel Polisky in violation of ARS 13-1412, an inappropriate romantic relationship between a peace officer and a witness or victim. And Jesus Evangelista knowingly and willfully deleted and destroyed body camera footage that was clearly exonerating and exemplary. On page 8, paragraph 7 of my police report, it clearly states that Rachel opened up and admitted that she gave consent to being bound, gagged, choked, electrocuted, and spanked, and they have since deleted the original body camera footage. And Megan Turner has lied through her teeth and has stated that the Sedona Police Department did not have body cameras on December the 14th, 2022, but for some reason, Sergeant Leon and Officer Hudspeth have not been fired for refusing to
You
wear body
saw
cameras,
them,
even though
Adam.
I saw
Adam,
them.
you saw them, and
I saw
you
them, yes.
described exactly what
Three
BCO
little rings, three little holes, yes, and they were
BCO3
wearing.
you described a BCO3 body cam by who makes it again?
GTAC.
GTAC, yeah,
GTAC. Yes,
GETAC, BCO3. You described exactly what it looks like,
correct.
without even ever seeing it, whilst being locked up for since
Correct.
forever. And don't
Correct.
worry, you tell the truth. It's just like Francis tell the truth. I confirmed from court documents his license plate on his Lincoln Town car is HSL. You guys speak
And
between
I
you.
was also, and I'd also want to point out that I was released after 5 days of being arrested with no complaint filed. And then they used that time until May the 4th to delete the evidence off the GTAC system, which is illegal and a crime, and is trying to frame me up for attempted murder and kidnapping,
Yep.
and has also cost God knows how many lives, preventing me from being able to
And they
proliferate
had
high
to pay
frequency
for an
treatment with
extradition.
30
You were
families
broken
from our
out.
corporate.
You had some strange lawyer that was a private lawyer get take you out of jail at 5 o'clock in the morning
Correct. Correct.
before the release order was signed. This is
And I also want to say they then brought me back without giving me notice of indictment or service of summons in violation of Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 3.2. You're supposed to summons must be served. And they said that falsely I was a fugitive from justice, even though they
and a
released me with
gang
no
member,
complaint.
and the fugitive and gang member charge just disappeared from the docket because they lied on their application and they promised to give you a trial by jury, and they're doing everything to stop you getting a trial by jury to
Correct.
protect victim witness
Correct.
services of Northern Arizona who pay porn stars like the new OnlyFans in a BDSM sting operation. Why work for OnlyFans when Coconino County will pay you more?
And also, Rachel even had her new job lined up on the victim's witness forms. She asked me to do a BDSM session with her, and then having said, "Oh my God, mean Adam has tied me up and smacked my bottom with a belt," even though I consented and I enjoy doing this, she then decides to give her new phone number to her new job, 928-282-2085, for the
Yeah.
tarot card reading at the Centre for the New Age, as her new job. So that she already had this whole thing
I've got the
planned
pictures of
out.
it here. I've got the pictures of it here. I'm loading up on my screen for the people here. There it is, right now on my screen. Here's the
Thank
phone
you.
number. Phone number is 928-282-2085. That's the phone number for the Sedona Center for the New Age. See,
Correct.
it's all proven on the screen right
Correct.
now, zoomed in, and the Google search.
And even child penis sucking worshipper Heather Mosher clearly stated that Rachel and Julie Hudson need to be re interviewed. And Julie Hudson lied through her teeth in 1 minute, said, "I did know Rachel, but didn't know her name, and she worked at property management." And then in the second interview with Jesus Evangelist, she said she'd never met me or Rachel ever before in her entire life. Her landlady, her fellow OTO, Ultimate Light Mission member, that she has been going to the Ultimate Light Mission with Rachel since at least 2019 together.
Yep.
I'd like to talk a little bit about. Uh, the psychiatric system going on here, where Christopher Linsky has falsely claimed that I am delusional. He said that I'm delusional because I've called Adam Keith Zickerman, a child sex normalization activist. But according to the Washington Post, Adam Keith Zickerman has stated that it was religious persecution for the FBI to bring child sex charges against Samuel Bateman while he ejaculates in his 9-year-old and 12-year-old wives. And I've got a link here, which is https:// archive.is/3 capital L 6 little r big Oscar. And Adam Zickerman has tried to have this erased off the Washington Post.
Oh
And
yes.
Adam Zickerman,
Yeah.
yes, and
It's
you can clearly
I've
see
got it
Adam
here.
Zickerman
It's
is
I'll give it to you. It's archive.is, lowercase Zulu, uppercase Romeo, uppercase Juliet, uppercase X-ray, uppercase Mike, and that's how to get around the paywall from the Washington Post. It's on my screen now.
I'm about to be locked down because Francis has to have his hour out. But I just also want to say that I'm being told that I am delusional for saying Adam Zickerman is a child sex normalization activist by Dr. Chris Linsky, and that I have to be forced medicated a regimen of dangerous psychiatric medication, antipsychotic drugs for being delusional. And Dr. Wayne General his report was buried, and I have peer-reviewed evidence here that clearly states that antipsychotic drugs don't help people with delusional disorders. Not that I am delusional, I'm clearly not delusional, but even if I was, antipsychotic drugs have never been effective. And that's Monroe Riding, 1999, The Treatment of Delusional Disorders, Cambridge University Press, Cochrane, The Treatments for Delusional Disorder, the Cochrane Review, Sol 2015, and the chapter in Oxford Academic Text discussing the nature of delusions and difficulties in treatment with reference to persistent and enduring delusional beliefs, Skelton M. Coker, WA, Thacker SP, and it says this review evaluates antipsychotic medication and psychotherapy effectiveness and concludes that delusional disorder is challenging to treat successfully with medications alone. They are trying
And
to
they've been
forcibly medicate me
taken
again.
en masse. Cruel and unusual punishment,
Yes,
and that's what the report that they've tried to bury illegally, the court paid for,
and and
from
they've
Dr.
kept me
Wayne
and they've
General.
kept me in solitary. And they've kept me in solitary confinement for over a year, almost a year of my life in A200 pod without any kind of due process
I vouch
whatsoever,
for that.
administrative segregation, and this is against the Mandela Doctrine. More than 15 days in solitary confinement is
Tell
cruel.
3 seconds left. Tell Francis to speak to me on his time out. Tell him to speak to me.
Will do.
Okay. I'll try and connect with him. Okay. How long till he comes out? Right now?
He's going to be coming around any time, any second now. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Good luck and Godspeed,
Yeah.
and we'll
Tell him
speak
to
to more
call me.
later.
Tell him
Okay.
to take my call. Okay. All right. Bye
Will
bye.
do. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, so we're going to try and get Francis and talk about the corrupt hearings where a Jewish pedophile gave false evidence and the judge destroyed exculpatory evidence illegally. This judge is going to get a CJC complaint, I am sure. So let's add a contact. Arizona, he's got his name listed incorrectly. Keel. Okay. Friend. Okay. 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 Now, oh shit! See, look, they're trying to block him. This is see that they don't want to have him to talk about the corruptions happening in the court. See, look at that. They've blocked all of his access to calls. This is corrupt. See, all the access to calls is blocked for him. Okay. Um, they don't want him to speak because he knows too much about the America's Next Epstein, who swatted him. The guy's innocent. This is they did this to try and take Francis's kids to Big Brothers Big Sisters, where the pedophile Howard Seth Leventhal worked. By his own admission, let's Google it. Okay, watch this. Howard Seth Leventhal. Howard Seth Leventhal. That's the Facebook. Oh, okay. Flickr. There we go. There he is. Okay, there he is. Let's have a look at his bio. Okay, okay. That's him, a little girl. Let's have a look at his bio. It's his account. Going through information. Okay. So here we go. He says he works at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Okay, and gave towels for the Atlanta Games with a scam business that he got shut down for doing in Washington State. All the receipts on my timeline. See here, Big Brothers Big Sisters here. He's the chairman of the Indian preschool, whilst being a convicted drug dealer. Yeah, and he's Big Brothers Big Sisters. Okay, there you go. Along with Judge Joshua Steinlage, also in the same organisation. All of his references for him to become a judge says so. Let's see if I can go talk to Francis Keel. Find and add contacts. Just see if this works. It probably won't. Might get lucky. It's just going to refuse it. Friend. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't show he added, which is very suspect. They've blocked his access to comms, which is his right. Okay, I'll just try and call him again. See this? This is. They don't want him to talk about what's been happening. It's going to fail, of course. See, he's not allowed to make any visits. He's blocked from it. So Wednesday afternoon. Okay, Thursday afternoon. Friday afternoon. He's just been no access to comms, which is legal. The county's corrupt. So I guess I have to wind it down unless there's any questions in the chat. Okay. Alright then. Let's shut down.